I'm going to talk about New York State and their sales tax and their income tax and why New York State is corrupt. New York State is a corrupt state, and I'm going to tell you how they ripped me off in regards to my business. First of all, I used to have a sales tax certificate, and I didn't understand sales taxes. I had a website that was based out of New York State at the time, and I didn't sell products. I made money through advertising. So I didn't know that I needed the sales tax certificate, but I filed for it anyway. And you got to pay like a minimum $50 per year, and I was reporting zero every year. Or maybe it's a $50 fee if you don't file or something like that. And at some point I said, I don't need this, so I should just cancel it, whatever it is, the sales tax certificate. And what happened is they started charging me $50 every year. And no matter how many times I told them that I canceled this and that I don't sell anything on the internet, and I didn't know that I didn't need it because I didn't understand the law at the time, they were still demanding $50 from me every year. And at first, I didn't know any better, and I would send them a check for $50. And this is going back to 2001. We're talking about almost 20 years ago. And then I would get a letter the next year because there's always a threat. They always say, if you don't pay us, we're going to do this and this and this. And I said, well, I don't want bad things to happen, so I'm going to pay the $50 and I'll resolve it and I'll send a letter, clear it up. But then the next year I would get another letter saying that I owed $50 and I would pay the $50 and it still wouldn't get resolved. And what was going on is that they were demanding $50 for the same year every year. And I would go through, I keep all of my old records. It would go in my sales tax folder, and my sales tax folder only has a few documents. And I noticed that every year they were demanding $50 for the same year, which was like 2001, and I was paying them every year. So years were going by. The last time I got a letter from them could have been like 5 years ago. They're still demanding money from 2001, even though it's probably beyond the statute of limitation. I was like, this is a joke. I'm not going to pay it. They'll just ask you for money forever. So another thing that I noticed was that I used to have a business, and I had a corporation, but I also never used the corporation. I never transferred assets to the corporation. I did open a bank account. I tried to open a bank account with the corporation, but it never got open. I just waited and waited and waited, and my bank never opened the account. And every time I inquired with them, they just gave me an excuse. And then a year later, they said, you filed the wrong form, which was nonsense. I knew that I had filed the wrong form. There's only two forms. One is corporation and one is non-corporate. And then I filed the correct form, and they said, well, we're not going to open it for you. And they wouldn't give me a reason why. Because what I was doing was I was trying to convert a personal account into a corporate account, and they have a policy that's on the website which explains how to do it, but they just refused. I said, okay, I give up. I don't want this anymore. So I never used the corporate bank account. The corporation never had any assets. And then New York State changed the law, and they said that there's a minimum $500 tax for everyone who has a corporation. And I said, you know what, this is just a hassle. Everything with this corporation is a hassle. I'm not using it. I have no employees. I have no reason to do this. I didn't understand that my sole proprietorship was sufficient for what I was doing. So I canceled my corporation. Well, guess what? They said, you owe $350. I don't know what the reason why was. I had been paying these corporate taxes yearly. It was usually around $300. They said I had to pay, and if I didn't pay, they were going to seize all of my accounts, seize my car, seize my assets. They were going to sue me. So I said, okay, I'm going to pay the money, and I paid the money. A year later, I got another letter saying I owed something like $2,000. And I looked through it, and they took me to court without notifying me. I had never known that they had taken me to court. And you know that they have my address because I received the letter. I received the letter from them. They have my address. But what they did, and this was actually approved by a judge, and it shows you how corrupt these people are. They fined me thousands of dollars for legal fees because I had unpaid taxes, and the total unpaid taxes that they claimed I had was 7 cents. And the 7 cents was interest. And it said interest. It said principal balance owed $0, interest owed 7 cents. And what they're going to do is they're going to say that I paid a day late and that I owed 7 cents interest on the $350 for up until the day that they filed the lawsuit, and they charged me $2,000 fees. And I was like, this is a joke, and I'm just not going to respond to this. And this is at the point where I had been so fed up with corruption in New York. I might have actually already moved out of New York at the time, and I was just going back because I still had mail being delivered to New York, which is why I happened to be there. I was visiting my family at the time. And this is corruption. Anyone who believes in big government, you're wrong. Big governments are corrupt. They have all the laws to protect you, but they do not abide by the laws. The state lawyers do not abide by the laws. The judges don't abide by the laws. The employees do not abide by the laws. These are corrupt people. Other states are not as corrupt as New York, but the reason why they're corrupt is because everyone needs to have their business in New York, so they have to deal with the corruption. They take advantage of people because they have control over people. Be wary of big government.